Welcome to Insight, Purpose, and Perspective, the podcast where we have insightful discussions on purpose about today's current affairs and topics viewed from a Christian perspective.
All right. Good, good evening, everybody. Good evening. Welcome to Insight, Purpose, and Perspective. I'm your host, Deacon J.L. Bumber, and I have my returning guest, Deacon Sadadrian Markel Lee X. Got it right all in one breath this time.
Yes, you did.
Hey, tonight, guys, we are finishing up our segment. You know, it's been Black History Month. We've been talking about forgotten and little known heroes, some more known than others. And tonight, we're going to finish up. And so again, I've got my brother on here who is our resident uh, Black history expert, and we're gonna have a good conversation. We're gonna share some information and talk about some people that you may know, you probably do know, and some people that you don't.
Yes, sir.
So,
Yes, sir.
Adrian, thank you so much for coming on, man. Appreciate you as always.
Appreciate you as always.
Yeah, yeah. So, what you got for us tonight, man?
Well, number one, yesterday was the anniversary of Malcolm X and assassination day. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Brother Malcolm X was the philosopher to me whose school I have came from, school of philosophy that I have came from. Malcolm X was very strong political revolutionary as well. You know, he was the one who taught us uh, to be by any means necessary. He was the one who taught us the depiction between the house Negro and the field Negro. He was the one who told us to stop singing and started swinging. And
Right.
honestly, and his ideology was so profound and so big that it really started the Black Panther Party. It started a whole bunch of black liberals and black nationalist movement and organizations. A lot of people switched over from civil rights to human rights because of Malcolm X, like Stokely Carmichael, aka Kwame Ture, after he changed his name to Kwame Ture. But Malcolm X, like I said, he got killed in 19, I want to say it was 1965, 1964,
Yeah.
yesterday. Uh, Days prior to his death day, his house got burnt down with
Mm-hmm.
his wife and all of his kids, his four little daughters, I want to say, was there. And then he made a speech in the Audubon Ballroom, where was going to make a speech in the Audubon Ballroom. And he didn't even get to start off his speech. The only thing that he said was Assalamu alaikum.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, get your hands out my pocket.
Right. Yeah.
And
Famous
then
word.
right. That was the last. Honestly, that was the last word that Malcolm X said. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Assalamu alaikum, meaning peace be unto you. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And then I want to say three brothers, and I want to say two of them was from the Nation of Islam, and one of them was just a random or a informant. And matter of fact, with an informant, he did have a informant on his team as well. If you see a picture of him laying down dead, shot up or whatever, and you see this one man looking straight into the camera, the black man, that was his
Mm-hmm.
bodyguard and slash informant. He was giving him mouth to mouth with, I want to say they said that he had 10 to 20 bullet
Yeah.
wounds. And he was blowing breath inside of somebody who got holes inside of him. That that don't sound right.
Yeah.
That
Well,
don't sound right.
you know, I
No.
mean, there's always been a rumor that um, the nation orchestrated that assassination because they weren't pleased with some of the things that he was talking about. You know, once he broke away from the
Yeah, yeah,
nation, but you know, he changed his outlook. I mean, he was a devout Muslim and a fervent follower of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, but like I said, we both know that when he made that pilgrimage to Mecca,
yeah.
and that changed him in a profound way. And he decided instead of um, trying to fight against or would not fight against, but you know, anybody who wanted to help the plight of black people, he was interested in working with, because I know in the beginning they was
Yeah,
like, we're gonna do our own thing, and
yeah.
I get that to a certain extent, but
He also said that white people can help us, but he can't. But they can't join us. That's what he said. They can help, but
uh,
they can't join. And I can understand that as well too. For real.
yeah, I mean, with the history of the brutality of the dominant society, but there have always been, um, quote unquote Caucasians, white people who have helped blacks. I mean, all the way back at the ending of slavery with
John Brown.
Harriet Tubman and the Underground Railroad. There was a lot of those, and they were Christian folks, a lot of them, who
Yeah. Yeah.
set up those stations where that black people could have safe haven until they got to the next place, till they got to freedom.
Yeah.
And even in the civil rights movement with Dr. King, there were
Yeah.
there were white people involved.
Yeah. Yeah. A
Um,
lot of them was getting killed too.
oh yeah, no doubt,
A
no
lot
doubt.
of them was. A lot of them was. Especially
You
with the
know, I
freedom Riders.
Right. I was just getting ready. You took it
Mhm.
out of my mouth. But I think that one of the other things that really helped the civil rights movement was, when they orchestrated the march from Selma to Montgomery,
Yeah.
and it was televised, and
Yeah.
white America got to see black people. Now these people had just come from church,
That's why
and
they
I
call
think
it Black Sunday.
right, and so I think it had a profound effect where some of the myths and some of the lies that's been told about black people was kind of broken down, because they're looking at these people. They were respectable looking
Yeah.
and just fighting for what was right, and
Hmm.
watching the brutality of the police department and other officials, doing these things to these people. I think it definitely changed the attitude of a lot of white folks who might not have been racist, but kind of just turned a blind eye. It didn't affect them, so they weren't really interested in it. But I think some of them probably said, these people look just like me. They just a different color, but they dress like me. They go to church, whatever. And
Hmm.
I think that had a profound effect. I don't think that's what they had in mind when they were organizing that, but I know that's
Right.
probably part of
And that's why I want to say I could say that's why this one brother that I'm finna talk about started to say that we need to have affirmative action out of Malcolm's mindset, because Malcolm didn't get to see that
it.
march that
Mhm.
you was just talking about, because I want to
Right.
say he was assassinated 3 weeks prior. Yeah,
I'm not
3 weeks
sure.
before. I want to say about like some around
Yeah.
there, 3 weeks or 2 weeks before that march. But Huey P. Newton, the founder of the Black Panther Party, the reason
Mhm.
why Huey P. Newton did the Black Panther Party is because that he was getting tired of the brutality of black
Yeah.
people. He was
Mhm.
getting tired of the brutality of black people through the fire department, through the justice department with the police, lawyers, judges, the FBI,
Mhm.
everybody. Uh, Huey P. Newton, he came from Monroe, Louisiana,
Mhm.
a light skinned brother. Like you.
Yeah. Well, that's okay. That's okay. I'm still, and
Yes,
it's
sir.
funny. There's a funny story about that.
Yeah.
Now, this was when I was in college. And there's always been this thing where it's funny how our people are about the only group I know that hate among themselves. You got light skinned blacks hating dark skin and vice versa. And that goes back to slavery times.
Hmm.
But I was in college going to Winston State, and I was working in this computer lab, and all of the lab people in there were light skinned black people, and we had this grad student, dark skinned brother in there, and I can't remember how the conversation started, but he asked me, did I know what it was like to be black? And it just kind of threw me because I never had my ethnicity questioned. But I had to say to him, I said, brother, no matter how fair my skin is, no matter how good my hair was when I had hair back then,
Okay.
white folks don't break us up into sections like that. If they're racist,
You straight
they
black.
just racist.
Yeah, straight black.
I'm just a light skin N word. You a brown skin. You a dark skin. They don't break us up into that.
Mm-mm.
And that was one of the things that still carries over all the way from slavery that we have to divest ourselves from. But that's
Yeah.
one of the reasons why
Mm.
it's important for us to remember our black heroes and to have a sense of pride and a sense of unity
Yes, for
kind of
sure.
things.
And that was one of the things that Brother Huey P. Newton was organizing: unity and
Mhm.
self-reliance and
Right.
self-knowledge, because he the 10-point program. The 10
Hmm.
point program of the Black Panthers, that was just a constitution. That was just a black code. We don't want we don't want our brothers in the war. You know, we
Right.
don't we don't want our brothers being brutalized by
No doubt.
by the police. You know.
No doubt. I gotta stop you right there. My sis, my little sister saying, "Hey, bro. Hey, sis. Glad to have you on. Appreciate you watching." I just had to put that out there.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah.
But
I gotta watch these comments more. Last time we wasn't even paying no mind. We was missing some of them.
yeah.
But keep going about what you talking about the 10-point program.
But yeah, the 10-point program. It was just a constitution. It was a way of life, basically, for the Black Panther Party.
Mm-hmm.
Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seale, who was the co-founder, who who was the co-founder of the Black Panther Party. Both of them said that we need our own laws. And that's what's something that we need right now, especially in our communities going on right now, for real, especially with dealing with ICE, not taking anything away from our Latino brothers and sisters, but
Mm-hmm.
ICE been messing with black people since since we came over here. But
Yeah.
yeah, so that's why we do need to be standing in solidarity with our Latino brothers, just like how Huey P. Newton taught us to back in 1966 when he founded the Black Panther Party in
Yeah,
Oakland,
most definitely.
California. Uh, what else? Huey P. Newton. He also uh, he if you want to say he tricked the government. How he tricked the government is because
Mm-hmm.
he had a trial because the police stopped him and another fellow Black Panther party member stopped him around. I want to say they said at like 8 o'clock at night or something around there. It was like
Mm-hmm.
dark time over there, and they said that Brother Huey shot at the police, allegedly shot at the police. But they
Mm-hmm.
come to find out Huey didn't even let out no shots at all. He was
Right.
just reading him the Constitution. He didn't even have a gun on. But
Right.
but anyway, uh they was going to trial him and sent him to prison, I think for life. That's why we had that campaign, Free Huey. Uh
Mm-hmm.
but when he was, getting out on bail, out on bond, or whatever the case may be, he was plotting to get away from America for some years, which he did. I want to say he went to Cuba or somewhere to the Caribbean, somewhere around there. But he
Mm-hmm.
used that by using Hollywood. He used Hollywood for his escape. He used a two upcoming, two upcoming directors in Hollywood, and they literally helped Huey P. Newton escape America.
Okay, that's
Full
what's up.
full grown, making it seem like, and the movie was titled The Big Cigar. That was the escape plan, The Big Cigar, right there.
Okay.
And there was and then there's a movie about that too as well. There's a movie about that if anybody want to check that out, and it's called The Big Cigar too.
The big cigar. Let's see if I can find it right quick. Oh yeah. Okay. I had
Hmm.
never heard about this.
Yeah.
They got it
Mm.
on Apple TV.
Yeah.
Okay,
Hmm.
that's what's up. I'm gonna have to go check that out.
Yeah, it's real good too. Real good.
Yeah. So who else you got, man? Come on now.
Okay. Well, okay. Well, let me finish off with the Black Panther Party too.
Right,
Not
right.
let me finish it off. Not only is Oakland, California, is the home of the Black Panther Party. North Carolina, preferably Winston Salem,
Hmm.
North Carolina, is the second home of the Black Panther Party. Why?
That's right.
Led by Dr. Professor Larry Little.
Hmm.
And I want to say a lot of our members at church was one of his students and one of his members of the Black Panther
Yeah,
Party as
yeah,
well too. But the other
yeah. We
brother
had that.
that go
I'm
ahead,
sorry. Go ahead.
no,
I was
no,
just gonna
go.
say, yeah, we had, the lady did that presentation and showed that picture of her. She was getting breakfast. They were, because the Black Panthers were about uh, feeding our children and making sure they had something to eat. She benefited from that. So, I
Yeah.
think the party had got, just like um, even the Nation of Islam, and like I said, the dominant society has always misrepresented and misaligned our black leaders and black heroes, making them seem like they was anti this, or they was trying to destroy the society. We were just trying to fight for what was rightfully ours.
Mhm.
And definitely they infiltrated the Black Panther Party, like they did a lot of organizations, to tear them down, because they didn't want black people to become self-aware and like you say, self-reliant.
And how
And
they
we still see it.
used that was COINTELPRO. They used a
Hmm.
lot of COINTELPRO to infiltrate
Yeah.
the Black Panther Party. And they also brought out the SWAT team just because of the Black Panther Party.
Right. Right.
But the other brother that I wanted to talk about was, I hope everybody do know about him. But for the ones who don't know about him, say hello to Nat Turner. A lot of people like to say Prophet Reverend Nat Turner.
Mm,
He was a slave. He was a slave from Virginia. He was a pastor as well. Now at that time, since it was illegal for us to read, since
hmm.
it was illegal for us to read, the pastors at that time, they was taught, or either they had to read from this little thin Bible called the slave Bible, and it was thinner than the 66 books
Hmm.
of King James. You know what I'm saying? But and it had books, revolutionary books, like I like to call them, especially Exodus. It had Exodus taken out of it
Right.
because Exodus was the book that was telling of that slavery was bad, and how the slaves of
Right.
that time rised up against Pharaoh, and they did not want the slaves
Hmm.
of that time to read that how the slaves in Egypt used God and reason up and overthrow Pharaoh. So they took Exodus out of it, and
Hmm.
Nat Turner realized that because his slave master had the full Bible, but his I
Hmm.
want to say his mama had the fuller Bible with more books than the
Hmm.
66 as well.
Right.
Uh, but he read where it says in Exodus that it's wrong to have a slave. If any man is a caught with another man as a slave, you shall be put to death. You know what I'm saying? He was reading that. So he started to think of a rebellion. Now, mind you, his rebellion was in 1831 in August 20th, 1831, or August 21st, 1831.
Right.
He was born in the 1800s. He was
Right.
born in 1800. So he was only 31 years old when he led the rebellion. Days after he was born, Gabriel Prosser was just lynched from organizing the most biggest world known rebellion in I want to say in Virginia, South Carolina,
South
in South
Carolina.
Carolina. Yeah, South Carolina. And then I want to say 9 years before in 1822, yeah, 1828 or 9 years before Nat Turner's rebellion,
Mm-hmm.
Denmark Vesey's rebellion failed.
Mm-hmm.
How did Gabriel Prosser and Denmark Vesey rebellion fails is because they had snitches.
Well,
They had snitches.
well, you gotta always look back to the times. Uh,
Yes.
there were some slaves who, uh, growing up in slavery, not knowing anything other than that, being free sometimes was scary because it meant I got to start fending for myself. And then the
Mm-hmm.
lies that they were told about, you know, don't help these people. It's just like when we talk about the the um, the house slaves and the field
Yeah.
slaves. There was a different.
Yeah.
House slaves usually were children of the slave master. They dressed a
Mhm.
little bit better. They ate a little bit better food. They slept either in the attic or in the basement of the plantation house, as opposed to the field hands working out there day in day
Yeah.
out, and telling these house slaves, well, you're just a little bit better than them, or making them believe that. But if they rebel, they would do whatever they whip them, beat them, whatever, cut off this, that, and the
Mhm.
third. But that's the
Mhm.
lie that has been perpetuated all the way up to this day, where we still got a division among our people behind that type of mentality.
Yeah,
You
for
know,
real, for real. We
so
still got house niggas today.
yeah. So I mean, and if we can go all the way back to when you talk about Exodus, when the Hebrews left Egypt. They had been slaves for 400 plus years, and they got
Yeah,
out
they
there in
want
the
to go
wilderness.
back.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. For a while they're like, Moses, why'd you bring us out here to the desert to die? It'd be better if we go back and be slaves. And I'm like, what? You have to be a slave, But
Mhm.
again, you got to remember, if you've been a slave for 5 or 6 generations, it's all you know.
Mhm.
And that's where we still have
Mhm.
people who are slave minded in one respect or another. Even to this
Yes,
day,
sir.
we got black folks that uh, don't want other people to do well or do better, get jealous instead of applauding and helping them and being happy for them. They want, with that crab mentality, if you want to call it like that. So it's not
Yeah,
uncommon,
yeah.
but it's not specific just to black people. I mean, all people are subject to
Mhm.
that at some point in time. But I find that other racial groups seem to, especially our Latina brothers and sisters, they stick together. They cover each
Oh, they
other,
definitely
you
do.
know. And
They definitely.
yeah, and it's because they're a minority, but they're a fast growing minority. I mean, but they hold traditional values. They work among themselves. They spend their money among themselves. There's a lot we can learn from them instead of
Mhm.
hating on
Mhm.
them. But
Yeah.
but yeah, that type of mentality where you know, okay, my sister says she got to go. Love you too, sis. I'm not gonna put that up. Everybody know my sister was not
Mhm.
to love. But anyway, but you was I lost my train of thought. That's what happens when you're old, guys. If you stop talking, you lose your train. But but yeah, I mean, it's nothing new. But we talk about Nat Turner. Uh, a great man in one respects, but what he tried to do, it was kind of futile. I mean, and I don't want to say futile, but not having. I mean, there've been other rebellions, but I mean, you're a small group of people, 40, 50, even 100 people living inside a country
Mhm.
where you got hundreds of thousands of folks who are not going to let you be free. you know, if you look at it just from a military standpoint, that's just like, you know, uh, what would we say? Like Cuba going to attack America. Well, they gonna get blown out the frame, because we're so big and we're so powerful, and it's the same type of dynamic. But they were fighting for the right reasons and for the right things, but it just was. I don't want to say the wrong time. It didn't work. Yeah.
It didn't work, but we can still learn from it
No
too as
doubt.
well.
No doubt.
We can still learn from it. And what he did was it was really just war tactics.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He went in at the den of night with his crew, with the ones who was willing
Mm-hmm.
to fight and die,
Yeah.
because they already know the true definition of freedom.
Yeah.
And freedom is not free.
That's right.
Freedom comes with a
Yeah,
price,
definitely.
especially in that kind of line of work. And what is the price? The price is death.
Yeah.
For real. So they already knew what they was going to be getting their hands into.
Mm-hmm.
But they really didn't care, because they was thinking about us.
No doubt.
They was thinking about
No
us.
doubt. And also
Mm,
just to add, I think they probably was thinking, I'd rather die on my feet than live on my knees.
yeah,
You know.
and that what Malcolm said.
So yeah,
Yes.
I wish we
So
had more of our people who would hold together and keep that mindset. But nowadays, people are just more concerned about themselves. But that's a
right.
topic for another podcast.
But before you give us your people, I do want to end it off with a Nat Turner, how they literally killed Nat Turner, because a lot of people do not talk about
Right.
how they decrescinated him. They really chopped him up. They skinned him alive.
Mm.
A lot of times, a lot of people said that they use part of his skin as purses or
Yeah.
wallets, or couches or whatever. Uh, Pinpoint on this. That's what they actually did to us back then too. A
Yeah.
lot of times, slave masters would order another slave master for their slave skin,
Mm-hmm.
dead or alive,
Mm-hmm.
to use their skin as leather.
Mm-hmm.
George Washington used his slaves' dentures as his own
Right.
dentures. But history told us that he had wooden teeth.
Right. Well,
Right, right.
again, that's how history is written by the victors. Uh,
Hmm.
but it show again, all of these things. You tell people about this stuff, and it's like that's hard to believe, but you got to remember the mentality of the people who own slaves. They, like we said last week, we were considered 3/5 of a man. We were property. We weren't even considered human. So when you're
Right.
looking at something that you don't think is human, you can do anything to it. You know,
Do anything.
but thank goodness we have moved beyond that. At least they know we human beings. And we still have a level of oppression here and there. But again, like I say, I think a lot of it we put on ourselves because we're not as respectable. Like I say, if you go back, just use an example of the march from Selma to Montgomery, how these people were dressed, how they carried themselves. Um,
Straight
yeah,
suits.
suits. In fact, I got some. Let me pull this up while we're talking about it. I found some photographs of how our people dressed, and let me pull it up and share that on the screen because and I'm gonna start all the way back. This is what I'm gonna share. This is okay. Let me get it right quick here because this is how we looked in 1865. Yeah, and that's a group of slaves.
Hmm.
But if I move to the next, this one is 1920.
Hmm. Straight
This
suits.
one is 1940.
Straight
Yeah,
suits.
1960. We got uh, Dr. King here with a group of gentlemen. I don't know exactly where this is, you know, but you
Right.
go from slavery to 60 years later, 1920s. We have elevated ourselves. Now this is 1980. big difference.
Yeah.
And then 2000.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I'm not hating on anybody. People dress the way they want to, but how you present yourself uh, is important,
Mhm.
you know.
And
And
people take you more seriously.
exactly, you know. And if you want to be respected, you have to be respectable, you know. So
Mhm.
that's something that, and that's why it's important. Coining your term, it's important that we remember our history. We remember the sacrifices that our people have made, and even remember the brutality. You know,
Yes.
don't whitewash it. Don't
Yes.
put it away and act like it didn't happen, because there were sacrifices that were made. People died for us to move
Yes.
forward. But I'm going to move on. I've got a couple of people. We're not going to be on here too much longer, guys. But two people that I know nobody's going to know about. But before let me get my photos in order. So where are you, Eunice? Oh, there you go. So make sure I have her picture up. And I love it when technology works. Yeah, yeah. Now, this lady right here, her name is Eunice Hutton Carter. And in 1936, she would do something no one thought possible. She took down Lucky Luciano, one of the most powerful mobsters in America. So this lady, she was born on July 16th, 1899 in Atlanta, Georgia. She came from a family that refused to accept the world's limitations. Her father, William Hutton, founded the black division of the YMCA. Her mother, Addie Waits Hutton, was a civil rights activist and women's suffragist who traveled to France during World War One to support black soldiers. In 1906, when Eunice was 7, that's when they had the Atlanta race wars. And, you know, white mobs were burning black businesses, murdering black folks, and just terrorizing the community. So her family,
Yeah.
they moved to Brooklyn, joining thousands of black families during, you know, the great migration north. You know, our people searching for safety and for something that America had never promised them. So fast
Right.
forward, she graduated from Smith College in 1921, only the second woman, not just black woman, but the second woman to earn both a bachelor's and master's degree from the school within 4 years. That's amazing. Then she made a decision that would change everything. She would become a lawyer. In 1932, she became the first black woman to graduate from Fordham Law School. And then in 1934, she became the first black woman to pass the New York State Bar. So Eunice Carter died on January 25th, 1970, at the age of 70. For decades, she was forgotten. But then when HBO's Boardwalk Empire featured a character inspired by her in 1914, people mocked it as a Hollywood fantasy. But, you know, she was, as a black prosecutor in the 1930s, you know, taking down the mob, that was impossible, except it wasn't, you know.
Right.
So
Right.
we fast forward to 2021, Fordham University Press published Eunice Hutton Carter, A Lifelong Fight for Justice, and now Fordham Law School hosts an annual Eunice Carter lecture. The Mob Museum honors her contributions. Historians are finally telling her story. So because Eunice Carter did what everyone said was impossible, she walked into the courtrooms where she wasn't wanted. She built a case that powerful men insisted didn't exist. She noticed patterns that everyone else ignored. And she proved that the most dangerous person in the room isn't always the one with the gun or the power or the stage. Sometimes it's the woman sitting quietly in the corner, taking notes, seeing everything. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought that was a great story. So let me stop.
I like it.
Yeah.
I ain't even know that one.
Yeah, hey man, you know it's out there, but you know you got to look, and that's the thing that we're encouraging everybody. You know, is don't depend on the school system, uh, to
No,
to teach you our history. Now I was kind of blessed. My parents both educated. They gave us books and made sure that we knew. But even what I learned back then as a kid was just a drop in the bucket, because now, with the internet, there's no reason why we shouldn't know everything there is to know about Black people. The information's out there. All you got to do is look for it.
that's true.
You know,
That's true.
and that's what we also want to encourage you guys, is to go and look these people up, and just do a search again. Like last week we said, start talking to your
Mhm.
elders, start asking uh, about your ancestors, and because there may be history that you have no clue about. There may be people in your family who made great contributions, and that's important. Again, I'm coining your term. It's important for you to know, and it really is. So the next person I want to share with you is somebody local. I'm big on Winston. Winston-Salem has had a lot of famous people.
Yeah, a whole bunch of people.
Yeah. Now this gentleman here, his name was George H. Black. Now he
Hmm.
was handed a broken machine and they expected him to burn it, but he built a legacy instead. In a country still tightening the grip of Jim Crow, a boy born to former slaves would grow into one of the most respected brick makers in America. George H. Black, he understood something powerful. If you control the bricks, you help shape the future. Let me say that again. If you control the bricks, you help shape the future.
Mhm.
So his story is from mud to mastery. So he was born in 1879, just 14 years after emancipation. George Black carried forward a lineage that had known forced labor and stolen wages. As a child, he moved with his family to Winston-Salem, North Carolina, a city growing rapidly in industry and ambition. He began working at the Hedgecock and Heim Brickyard. At some point, he was given a discarded mud mill, essentially scrap metal, intended to be used as firewood. Now, most people might have burned it. Black saw opportunity. He repaired it, reimagined it, and used it to launch his own brickyard. Now, that decision, small on the surface, was radical in context, because in the earlier 20th century South, Black ownership in construction and manufacturing was rare, underfunded, and often undermined. But Black didn't just produce bricks, he produced excellence. Handmade, unmatched. George H. Black became known for traditional handmade bricks, crafted carefully, fired with precision, and built to endure. His work was used in some of Winston-Salem's finest homes, in churches, businesses, and historic preservation projects. His craftsmanship extended to restoration efforts in Old Salem and even in colonial Williamsburg. That detail matters, because restoration
Mhm.
work requires more than production. It requires
Mhm.
historical sensitivity, technical knowledge, and trust. So they trusted his hands to rebuild American history. A man whose parents were once denied ownership helped preserve the architectural heritage of a nation. Now, reputation beyond barriers. Black skill traveled far beyond North Carolina. He became sought after far across the Southeast and earned national, even international recognition for his craft. His bricks carried his name quietly, without press tours or headlines. They spoke through durability, through walls that did not crack, through foundations that did not shift. He lived to be 101 years old. That's amazing.
Mhm. Mhm.
Spanning Reconstruction, two World Wars, the Great Depression,
Right.
and the Civil Rights Movement. And through,
Yeah.
and through it all, he kept shaping clay into permanence. So, what endures? George H. Black's story is not just about masonry, it's about reclamation. A son of former
Mhm.
slaves, handed scraps, built something lasting enough to stand a century. So every brick he formed was a quiet declaration. We're not temporary. We're not disposable. We are builders. In cities across the South, in preserved districts where tourists walk and admire history, his work remains underfoot and overhead. So in 1821, oh wait a minute, oh man, I forgot about that guy. Well, we I can't talk about him because that's a whole nother deal. But I just wanted to talk about, I'm big on Winston-Salem history, guys. Remember this guy George H. Black, you know, uh, he some of the you I guess you can go over to Old Salem and see this man's work because Old Salem is still around, you know.
Yeah.
But let me stop sharing my screen. Yeah, I forgot I did purchase something. It was another guy. He was a black tailor. I don't have a picture of him though. But I'm going to talk about him briefly. Just in 1821, a black tailor solved a problem no one else could, and then he used money to buy people out of slavery. Yeah, I gotta talk about this. Raised a daughter who challenged segregation a century before Rosa Parks. So on March 31st, 1821, a 30-year-old black man walked into the U.S. Patent Office and quietly rewrote history. His name was Thomas L. Jennings. That day, Jennings became the first, you know about this guy, became the first African American ever granted a U.S. patent. But the patent itself was never the most extraordinary part of his story. What he did with it was, he was born in 1791 in New York City. Jennings worked as a master tailor, handling fine fabrics for wealthy clients, silks, wools, garments, so forth, so on. So water destroyed these clothes. Soap made it worse. Expensive garments were thrown away because no one knew how to clean them. Jennings refused to accept that limit. Through careful experimentation, he developed a chemical process that cleaned fabric without water. He called it dry scouring, the foundation of what would later become the modern dry cleaning industry, now worth billions worldwide. His invention earned patent number 33306X. X. But Jennings understood something deeper than profit, because he believed freedom meant nothing if others remained in chains. So instead of retreating into comfort, Jennings turned success into resistance. He used his earning to fund abolitionist causes, finance court cases to free enslaved people, support the Underground Railroad, and organize campaigns for black voting rights in New York through the African Methodist Episcopal Church. That's like AME. Why did I just say that? He helped strengthen black institutions at a time when survival itself required structure. He understood that being exception wasn't enough. He had to use his position to change the system. That belief shaped his children, especially his daughter. I gotta read this, guys. In 1854, Elizabeth Jennings Graham boarded a streetcar in New York City on her way to church, where she served as an organist. The conductor ordered her off because she was black. Elizabeth refused. She was forcibly dragged from the car, but she had been raised by a man who taught her that injustice must be confronted, not endured. Elizabeth sued the streetcar company. Her father paid for the legal fight, hiring top attorneys, including Chester A. Arthur, who years before he became president. Elizabeth won. The court ruled that public streetcars in New York City could not discriminate based on race. That decision led directly to the desegregation of the New York transit system. So this happened in 1854. That is 101 years before Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat in Montgomery. So Jennings died in 1856, but not before doing something extraordinary. He didn't just invent a process. He funded freedom. He didn't just secure a patent. He challenged oppression. He didn't just make history. He raised someone who would change it. So his life proves that innovation, activism are not separate paths. The same mind that figured out how to clean delicate fabrics without water understood that rights must be defended. Freedom must be shared. Success carries responsibility. So Jennings was the first black American to hold a U.S. patent, but his greatest achievement was knowing that being first means nothing if you don't pull others through the door behind you. That is how legacies are built.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm glad I had put that in there. So, that's a great story, though.
That is. That
because I
is
had
a
never
good.
heard of this guy before, but I was doing this research and found out, and that's amazing. His daughter did something, everybody think Rosa Parks was that was a landmark thing. No, it wasn't, guys. We're
Mm-hmm.
showing you right now that there are hundreds, probably hundreds of black people who have done things that you don't know about that's similar to all of these other, and not to diminish what Rosa Parks or Martin Luther King or Malcolm X or none of these other people did. But
Yeah.
this is important that you reach back and learn about these people, you know, because this
Hmm.
guy, I mean, everybody know about dry cleaning. I had no idea that a black man invented that process.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's incredible. That's incredible. Well, I think that's a great way to end this. So, guys, if this has helped you, if this has enlightened you, I advise you please subscribe to the channel and share it with someone. And make sure you hit the like button. It always helps the algorithm get this stuff out to people so that we can share this information. Um, you know, I appreciate everybody who's been on live, everybody who's watching it on the replay. Again, uh, just make sure that you share this information. So, Dadrian, you got anything you want to leave? I'm sure you got a quote that you
Nah,
can
I
leave
don't
with.
have, nah, I don't have a quote. I don't have a quote. Just make
What?
sure. Just make sure everybody know this. Black history is not just 1 month that consists of 28 days or 29 days on a leap year. It's literally 365, 24/7, 366 on a
Amen.
leap year. Always
Amen.
remember that. Study. And come to my Black History program Saturday.
Amen. Yeah, we're going to be over at the Renolda Library. I don't know the exact address. I know it's on Fairlawn Drive. That's going to be Saturday, the
28.
28th, from
Mhm.
1 o'clock to 4 p.m. Come and check it out. We got a nice presentation for everybody. Come and fellowship with us. But until next time, guys, stay anchored in truth, grounded in grace, and courageous in faith. And may God bless you. Got a new ending song tonight.
Mhm.
All right.